Danny Duncan and I started talking in September 2016 when I was 14 and he was 24.
Now, just mere minutes ago, the big YouTuber Danny Duncan was exposed for being a groomer. If these allegations are true, this man is going to jail for a long time where he would rightfully belong, again, if these are true. With that being said, let me tell you exactly what Danny Duncan is being accused of doing here. Yesterday, this girl who has pretty much no online presence whatsoever created her YouTube channel to expose Danny Duncan, and her name was Eva, and the video is called My Truth About Danny Duncan. It only has 2,000 views. On top of this, she also just did an interview with Keemstar exposing him even further. Now, obviously, I can't show the full interview, so I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the story. And before I go into this, please be unbiased. Please remove Danny Duncan's 0.3-inch cock and balls from your mouth. Look at this from an unbiased lens. Just, I beg. So the story starts off with her saying that she started talking to him when she was 14 and Danny Duncan was 24 years old. That's a 10-year age gap. Now, obviously, that's a very long time ago, so he was definitely smaller back then. So it makes more sense that he actually responded to her. But anyways, yeah, she slid up on his Snapchat story, not expecting him to respond because she was a fan, but he ended up responding to her, and that sparked an interaction. Obviously, they became friends or whatever they were, and they ended up talking for a period of 4 years. As their interaction started to get more and more actual, he started to ask her for birthday suit pictures, if you know what I'm saying, and he would not take no for an answer. So over the course of the time that they talked, they both sent each other fully unclothed pictures and videos, and based on the fact that this girl was literally 14 years old, aka only 1 year above EDP's prey, this is bona fide CP. You can go to jail for this, my nigga. Allegedly. But anyways, as time passed, he was always trying to meet up with her in person more and more, and she would always say that she wasn't ready to meet up yet because she didn't know how she was gonna explain it to her parents. And as time went on, he would pressure her more and more into meeting up and make her feel bad for not meeting up with him by calling her a flake, among other things. Eventually, one day she caved in and told him that he could come down to see her, and so he ended up booking a flight, which obviously is not cheap. Now, after he told her that he booked the flight, she started to regret her decision. And as she started to regret it more and more, she started to think of all the negative consequences that would come if she told him after he spent his money and bought a whole ass plane ticket that she wanted to cancel. And so all of that stress and torment on this 14-year-old child caused her to end up attempting to end her life on that night.
So I was really scared of what he would have to say if I tried to cancel, because he also kept telling me how expensive the flight was. And I'm trigger warning, but that night I actually ended up trying to take my own life, and I'm not blaming Danny for that.
However, fortunately, she was saved and she woke up in a hospital where she was hospitalized for an entire week. She never told Danny why she was hospitalized, but she wouldn't let him visit, with the reason being that how would she explain to her family that this grown-ass adult, and who's also a YouTuber, wants to come and visit her sick in bed. And so because of this, he was getting very angry with her that she wouldn't let him visit. And he was saying things like, oh, I knew you would flake. I knew you would flake on me. You don't like me. You don't want me. And this behavior continued over the course of months after she left the hospital, where he would just bring up the fact that she was flaking and all this other stuff to make her feel bad about not meeting up in person. So one day she caved in once more and told him that he could come, and booked another flight. Now, the girl said all of the dates in her video, but I really don't remember, so just know about 2 years had passed at this point and she was 16 years old. When they came down, obviously they talked and stuff, and in the middle of that conversation he made a joke and asked about her ID. She responded by jokingly saying, you know I don't have one of those, and he proceeded to ask, how old are you? And she said 16 years old. So he knew her age. Right after that, they had sexual relations for the first and only time, and she says this is the only time she ever met up with Danny Duncan in person.
One thing I vividly remember was he asked me for my ID at one point, and I just laughed and I was like, you know I don't have one. And he was like, how old are you again? And I told him I was 16. And then after that, we had sex, and that was the only time I ever saw Danny in person.
Now, obviously, this is just a summary. The girl went into way more detail, and there is more to the story than this. But this is the basic context you need to know for everything else I'm about to say in this video. So if you want to know the full story, after you're done watching this, go finish watching the full interview on Keemstar's page and the full exposed video on her page so that you can understand all of the details. Now I have two more segments to go over in this video. The first one being Danny Duncan, the crimes he was accused of, and what he's actually guilty of and what he's not guilty of, and what the proof is. Now the first thing here is that he obviously had relations with a minor, making him worse than EDP 445, who technically speaking, even though he had every intention of gobbling up that cake, and we ain't talking about cupcakes, technically speaking he didn't actually touch any real life people, but Danny Duncan apparently allegedly did do that. However, here's the tricky part. So this girl says that she went to the police about it and it didn't really end up coming up back to much help, because apparently the age of consent in the state that she lives in is 16 years old. So even though Danny Duncan would be a weird ass, very child attracted male if he was dealing with a 16-year-old, technically speaking he couldn't go to jail for it because it wouldn't be illegal. Or at least there's more to it. I'm not sure exactly what the exact laws are for each state, but that's how I'm seeing it right now. However, what he could unequivocally go to jail for, if it's true, is the CP. Not only did this man send PP pictures to this underage child, but he received CP in 4K for years from her. If proven guilty, which she claims to have the receipts, so I guess we will come back and see that later in the future, if proven guilty, he could go to jail for this without a doubt. Now let's get into the actual proof that she has of all of this. She has provided so far one screenshot of a conversation between her and Danny Duncan, and not really much was said in the screenshot. Now obviously she did say that over the course of the time they knew each other, it was all on Snapchat. And if you use Snapchat, you know that everything gets deleted. So obviously there would be no trace of evidence behind. If Danny really uses this to groom kids, then yeah, it would be the best platform to get away with something like that on. However, what the girl did say is that the proof she does have is the pictures that were sent and received. And she can't post that to the internet because obviously you can't post that to the internet.
And that's what the cop told me. The cop told me, he was like, if you can prove that with a timestamp, then there's something you can do. And then I actually found those things, so I do have them now, but you know, I can't post that on the internet.
Right, because they're nudes.
Yeah, I can't. Like I can't post that.
You can't post graphic pictures on the internet. Okay. Yeah. Well, now that you have this, are you going to go file an actual police report? Because I know we did reach out. Just going to have to leave it at that. But you know, are you going to go to the police and file a police report now that you have, you know, this evidence?
Yeah, I think now I'm ready, because since I've gone through years of stuff, I really have compiled like enough of those pictures with timestamps.
So what she's going to do is file a legitimate police report. And obviously, if an actual police report is filed, that tells me that the motive here is not clout. It is to get this man in jail. Because she did say the only reason she's doing this is because she went to the police once before and nothing really came out of it. The policeman simply said that they can't do anything about the age of consent because she was old enough at the time. But about the CP pictures, if she can prove that, then they can do something about that. Now, the last thing about the proof provided is that she did say that there are other girls who have reached out to her and said that he did the same thing, and apparently they have proof. And also Keemstar showed a video of a girl who exposed Danny Duncan on TikTok for pretty much the same thing, and she also apparently had receipts.
Do you think there's more victims? Do you think there's more underage girls that Danny was interacting with?
I know for sure there are. There was another girl who actually posted proof as well, with pictures with him and everything.
What happened to that girl?
I don't really want to speak on it because, you know, it's her thing to speak on, but
because I do know this. I mean, he
might want to come out now that I've come out too. She might feel.
So maybe this specific girl might not have that much proof, but the other victims of Danny probably do have proof, and we will most likely see more girls coming out after this first one has told their story. So more proof will probably end up coming to light, whether from her or from other people. Now here's the last segment of the video. The absolute brain-dead morons in the comments who have Danny Duncan's cock shoved so far down their throat that they refuse. They absolutely are incapable of processing a single ounce of logic through their semen-filled brains. Just how stupid can you truly be? Look at these comments, bro. Just look at this. If somebody gets groomed, extractually assaulted, and goes to Keemstar and not the police, I'm sorry, it's for clout. I'm just like, bro, is Danny Duncan's nut covering your eardrums or something? The girl clearly said she went to the police and plans to go to the police after the interview again and file a police report, which, by the way, it is a crime to file a police report that's false. And on top of this, if she's lying, she can get sued into the ground. Her description on her video literally says, Danny, if I'm lying, sue me. She has so much to lose if she's capping. And of course, that's not proof, but to just outright say, oh my god, it's for clout, you're stupid. You are biased, bro, because you love this man so much, you would defend anything he does. These girls need to be put in jail for lying. Where's the proof that she lied? He hasn't even responded yet, you absolute brain-dead fool. Wait till he responds before you come to conclusions. This, like these meat riders, bro. She's lying. She needs some clout to start her OnlyFans. Ha ha ha. Also, what the hell is your parent doing when you're talking to a man? Also, if it's real, it's your fault because you gave him consent. You lost me there. Yeah, because a flipping 14-year-old child can consent, you pedophilic ass. Danny is not stupid. I highly doubt he would risk his career for this girl, considering he could get just about any girl he wants. Yeah, you know who they said that for? Our flipping Kelly, who was 100 times more famous and rich and successful than Danny Duncan, who had the baddest big booty biddies twerking and doing whatever he said. He could have any grown ass, fine ass model he wanted. The girls that you jerk off to on the freaking internet with your bum ass are the same type of girls this nigga had on the end of his finger, ready to do whatever he said. And what did this nigga choose to do? Piss on the faces of underage kids. Him and just about every other famous person who's been exposed for this, you brain dead fool. You have the IQ of a literal sperm cell, if you believe this. And to everyone saying, oh, why is she waiting till now? This girl said that she tried to expose him in 2020, but people harassed her and it never ended up going anywhere. And to this very day, she still gets DMs from people harassing her. So this, during this whole Danny Duncan cancellation, is really her second attempt at trying to get heard. It's also funny how literally nothing she said seems fake. There's no logical inconsistencies. And on top of that, there's certain things that if you were faking something, you'd want it to be believable as possible, right? There's certain things this girl said that nobody who wanted to make a good lie would ever say in a story because it makes their credibility look weird. For example, this girl said that initially when she met Danny Duncan, she told him her age was 15 years old instead of 14, but eventually like a month later she told him she was actually 14. But it's like that minor detail about her lying about her age for like a month or so, that doesn't invalidate the rest of the story in any way. But I'm just saying, if you were trying to write a good lie, why would you say something like that? It doesn't help your case in any way, shape, or form. On top of that, anyone who's trying to lie to take down someone's career would obviously go for emotional appeal. This girl didn't cry in her video. She wasn't even trying to sound all that sad or trying to make Danny Duncan seem like he physically like forced her into anything. There are a lot more damning accusations that you could come with to ruin somebody's career than this. Like, there are literally people in the comments saying, oh yeah, you consented to all of it, it's your fault. Like, if you wanted to ruin his life, why would you tell a story that involves you being willing when you could easily just make up a story and say that he like blackmailed you or forced you into something? Like, that doesn't make sense. And I'm not saying that that's proof that she's telling the truth, but I'm saying people who are saying that she's lying, there's no basis on which to make that statement. They just literally have this man's cock in their intestines. And no, I'm not saying that Danny is hitting them from behind. I'm saying Danny pushed his cock so far down their throat that it stretched down their esophagus, down into their stomach, and went past into their intestines. That's how much they are guzzling this man's seed. With that being said, we will see what proof comes out after this. We don't really know many facts right now. We only have one side of the story, and I'm hoping Danny is innocent. As much as I sounded upset in this video, I was more upset with the brain dead people in the comments just jumping to conclusions with no basis. I hate seeing people do that. I can't say I'm mad at Danny Duncan yet because I don't know what his side of the story is, and although this girl's story does sound believable based on everything said so far and the fact that she's actually going to write a real police report, it sounds believable, but we do need to hear the other side of the story before we come to conclusions. So with that being said, guys, until Danny Duncan responds, let me know your opinions in the comments below on what you personally think about the situation. This is a more serious video, but I drop funny ass bangers on a near daily basis. I know you laughed at some point throughout this video, so subscribe to see that and enhance your day by adding me to it. And of course, guys, as always, it's been your boy John, and you are now leaving my mind.